Welcome to the West Ham Voice. Thank you for joining me on Wednesday morning. A lot of you are going to be waking up to this news, and it's not pleasant news, I'm afraid. Most of you will be waking up to hear the story that we may lose yet another player from our squad in this summer's transfer window. And the close of this window can't come soon enough for West Ham United fans in order to put us all out of our misery, because it just feels as if it's getting worse and worse. Whilst we struggle to replace the players who have already left the club, a report late last night doing the rounds on social media on several foreign sites such as ge.globo.com and Tutto Mercato suggested that Manchester City have made a £70 million bid for Lucas Paqueta. Now, the report has spread on social media like wildfire. It's been confirmed by TalkSport, Daily Mail, Sport, Fabrizio Romano, and I think X has already tweeted about it as well. Now, as you know, just like Scamacca, Lucas Paqueta acquired a new agent during this summer transfer window, which is an agency called TFM, and he also has a UK intermediary who's an agent that's very well known to West Ham United, and especially David Sullivan, and is the same intermediary who made sure that Paqueta came to West Ham from Lyon in the first place. Now, this whole thing is a massive concern to West Ham, who are trying to rebuild the squad with only a few weeks left of the transfer window, and of course, the first game of the season coming up in just a few days' time. To lose Paqueta on top of Declan Rice and Gianluca Scamacca in the same window will be a massive blow to us. There's no denying it. He's currently the only really creative midfielder available to us. And the alternatives that David Moyes is looking at in the transfer window come nowhere near to the creativity and the skills that Paqueta possesses. At this moment in time, we're about to announce the signing of Edson Alvarez from Ajax Amsterdam. And we should be celebrating that. We should be celebrating the fact that we finally signed a player in this summer transfer window. But yet again, just like all things with West Ham United, when you want to celebrate, something looms with a dark cloud that makes you sort of hold back. And this is yet another thing. We should be celebrating the arrival of Alvarez. And instead now we're worrying about the possible departure of Lucas Paqueta in this transfer window. Look, there are consistent rumours that we're linked to. We're going back in for Conor Gallagher. We're still interested in James Ward-Prowse. We want Scott McTominay. And there's an outside chance that we still want Youssouf Fofana of Monaco. All great players in their own rights, in that they have their own good merits, but not one of them, and that includes Fofana, can match the creative abilities of Paqueta. So there's a concern here that we're getting players in who are going to be good, but they're going to be sort of like solid workhorses. Like there's no showboating kind of skills in their repertoire. They're going to come in, they're going to be solid. A bit like Maguire in defence, etc. A bit like Alvarez. I'm going to do a separate show on Alvarez when he's announced. But all these players that Moyes is looking at, they're kind of solid players. I don't want to call them dour, but they certainly don't have the same sort of creativity, the same sort of skill that Paqueta has. It seems that our flair players just simply don't want to be at West Ham United. And this must clearly be a hangover from last season, where many of them felt constrained by David Moyes. Players talked about it, about the, feeling constrained. And Warburton, when he left the club, also talked about, I had a different style of approach. Mine was a bit more attack-minded. David Moyes is all about defending. Unfortunately, that constraint can sometimes take its toll on players, especially players that want to express themselves. Footballers, of course, they want to win, but at the same time, they want to express their skills. They want to be able to demonstrate what they're capable of doing. And Paqueta is one of the best at that. He's almost like, if I hope he stays, he could become like Di Canio-esque for West Ham United. But to have that creativity taken away from you and constrained, it is not good. You're not going to enjoy your football. And unfortunately, when a team like Manchester City come knocking on the door, and one of the most creative teams in Europe, Europe champions of Europe, etc., and with the most technically, or probably one of the most technically advanced coaches in the world in Pep Guardiola, you're going to think to yourself, well, let me think. Do I want to stay at West Ham United and be constrained, or do I want to go to Man City where they welcome creativity? Creativity. Even their solid players are creative. They get involved in the attack, and it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? If Man City, are looking at getting Paqueta, I can't see why he wouldn't want to go. Look, Paqueta will improve immensely under a coach like Pep Guardiola, and it would not surprise me one minute if this deal happens. It looks nailed on, unfortunately. Now, I know that the recent comment made by Talk Sports, Alex Crook, went a bit wayward. He suggested, didn't he, that Paqueta could be next, and now maybe he might be proven right. Now, I know that the tweet put out by Alex Crook was responded to by the Paqueta account, the official Paqueta account, with the words "fake news." But what we heard, and I alluded to it on my West Ham Weekly show on Monday, was that it wasn't the player himself that wrote fake news, it was his PR agency, and it didn't have the endorsement of the player. So perhaps he really is unhappy under Moyes, as has been suggested. The club have a massive issue on their hands now, don't they? Do we continue to hemorrhage all our footballers that offer something a little bit different? Do we bite the bullet and maybe suggest that it should be David Moyes that should be leaving? It's the first time I've ever said that. As frustrated as I've been with some of the way we played over the past season or so, I've always kind of said, well, he's got us to winning a trophy, etc., etc. But now I'm worried. For the first time, I'm worried because you can you can have one player leave, and I've always said, no player is irreplaceable. Even Declan Rice, every football team will always find a way of replacing footballers that leave, who are their star players, etc. But when you lose Declan Rice, when you lose Lucas Paqueta, and now if you lose Paqueta as well in the same transfer window, that's a massive concern. Look. Would it be too late to let a manager go? Well, Wolves have just done it. Lopetegui's just left, and he's been replaced. So, with only a few days to go before the before the Premier League starts, I'm not suggesting Moyes should be sacked or anything, but it just feels to me that something drastic has to be done in order to tell the players, look, we are going to go a different direction. We've got Tim Steiden in, who's going to go a different direction in the type of players we're going to get. Let's bite the bullet. And let's go for a new coach, a new manager now. But I don't think that's going to happen because David Sullivan, he's faithful. He's loyal. He's very loyal to his managers. And the likelihood of him sacking David Moyes at this moment in time, a few days before the Premier League starts, I think is unlikely. But to the detriment of that, it means that we could lose Lucas Paqueta. Where West Ham United go from here is anyone's guess. We're about to confirm the signing of Alvarez, like I said, which is great. And it looks like we're close to sealing a deal for Harry Maguire as well. But like I said, these players are workhorses. Alvarez is really great at breaking up the play. He's a no-nonsense defensive midfielder. Maguire will bring some solidity to the defence. But where's the flair coming from? If Paqueta goes, where's the flair? Where's the flair going to come from? Look, I think a £70 million offer will be turned down. I think West Ham United will insist if that, hopefully West Ham will turn around and say he's not for sale. But if they insist on selling him, or if Man City come back in, I reckon something like 85 million might do it, might seal the deal, and Paqueta will be gone. I wonder what Moyes, Steiden, Newman, Noble, and Sullivan have got up their sleeves, because this is quite. It's almost. I don't want to call it disastrous, because we should be able to replace these players, but we've not shown, and 5-6 weeks have gone already in the transfer window, and we've not brought a player in apart from Alvarez, who's gonna should be announced on Wednesday. But if we're going to end up needing to replace Rice, Lanzini, who's gone, Creswell is clearly going to go at some point. Skamaka's gone. That's 4 players that we need to replace, and now Paqueta as well. That's 5 players. That's a worry. That's a worry. Only 1 player in so far. What are we going to do? It's gonna feel like panic buy, isn't it? And that's the biggest concern. Now, I'm not surprised that the likes of Jared Bowen are not agreeing to sign an extended contract just yet, because I just wonder what he must be thinking. Now we're reliant. We've got Nigel Gerd and we've got Jared Bowen, 2 very, very decent footballers. They're looking around them and they're seeing what's happening, and they must be thinking, well, what next? Look, who can we replace Paqueta with in the squad? The only one that comes anywhere near close is Pablo Fornals. But look at the way Pablo Fornals has been turned. He arrived at West Ham United as a number 10, a skillful player, and David Moyes has turned him into another workhorse. So he's lost all his flair as well. So there isn't anybody in the squad that can replace Paqueta. We don't know what happens from here. I'm sure there'll be more news breaking as the day goes by. It's not great. Like I said, we should be celebrating the arrival of Alvarez, and all we're doing is now worrying and biting our nails with the concern that Paqueta may be the next player to leave. When I get more news, I'm sure you'll hear it on Twitter, on Facebook, and all that sort of stuff. And whatever else I can find out, I'll bring that to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, have a wonderful Wednesday. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe, like, and bell notifications to let you know when I'm next on. And hopefully the next time I'm on, I bring you a bit more pleasant news.